So today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of photography businesses. Now wait, before you think, oh, I'm not a photographer, just hang on.
Yeah, because the strategies we're going to unpack. Building trust, handling those tricky client moments, navigating sales, they're surprisingly relevant way beyond just taking pictures.
Totally. We've pulled insights from, well, quite a few places. There's some really solid advice on handling sales objections, an article just on building client trust.
And discussions from photographers talking candidly about consultation calls, which can be nerve-wracking. Plus, a really interesting manifesto on ethical practices.
Right, and guides on standing out, pricing your work effectively. It's a good mix. Our mission here is to really figure out how the best photographers turn these common hurdles into actual opportunities, how they build relationships, not just, complete transactions.
And by the end, you'll hopefully walk away with some practical strategies. Things like clear communication, selling without being pushy.
Yeah, establishing those real connections that work for everyone involved. Get ready for maybe a few aha moments about human connection and perceived value. Okay, so let's unpack this first bit. When someone hires a photographer, what are they really after? Is it just the technically perfect shot? Or is it something else?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Most sources suggest clients aren't primarily hiring you because your photos look, epic or because you've got awards lining the walls. I mean, those things help. Obviously, they're great bonuses.
But it's not the core driver.
Not usually, no. They're buying because something or someone in their life is incredibly important to them, hugely significant, and they want to celebrate that. Photography just happens to be the way they've chosen to sort of put love into that something.
Put love into that something. I like that framing. So like capturing the feeling, not just the image.
Precisely. Think about, say, a big family event, maybe a wedding with deep cultural roots, like a traditional Nigerian wedding mentioned in one source. The family involvement is huge, right? The photos there aren't just snapshots. They're capturing this profound connection, this history, this continuity. It's way bigger than just a pretty picture.
So if it's not just about taking a cooler photo, what's the actionable thing here? What do we do with that insight?
It means shifting your focus radically away from just showing off your technical skill towards genuinely understanding what actually matters to the client.
Well,
The real key isn't just knowing what they want, but digging into why it matters so much, finding those emotional drivers, and then, delivering that.
how do you find those drivers, though?
It means asking better questions, thoughtful questions, not just about logistics like how many people, but about feelings. What is it about your oldest child that just makes you burst with pride?
Ah, okay. Getting personal, but in a relevant way.
Exactly. Or for that wedding example, maybe understanding the significance of certain traditions or the respect shown to elders. These kinds of questions help you see if they're willing to open up, and they pinpoint those really meaningful moments you absolutely have to capture.
And that principle, understanding the emotional why, that's not just photography, is it? That's pretty much any interaction where you're trying to provide value.
Absolutely. It often outweighs just listing features or specs. The feeling is usually more powerful.
So, okay, you've tapped into that why. You understand what's truly important. How do you then build that relationship? Make them feel comfortable trusting you with these really precious moments.
Right. And this brings us straight to trust, which in business you can almost boil down to an equation. Consistency plus time. Trust equals consistency plus time.
Consistency plus time. Simple, but powerful.
It really is. It's probably the most valuable currency you have in business because that's what builds your foundation of repeat clients, of referrals. And that's not small change. Some successful businesses get up to 50% of their revenue from repeats and referrals.
50%. Wow. Okay, so how does that consistency actually look day to day? What are the practical things?
Well, it seems to boil down to two main things, components of what you might call, world-class customer service. Speed and thoughtfulness.
Speed and thoughtfulness. Okay.
Yeah, for speed, one source highlighted a benchmark of responding to clients within 4 hours. That's pretty quick.
4 hours. Wow.
And apparently, lots of 5-star reviews don't just mention the photos. They specifically praise the photographer's responsiveness.
That's telling. And thoughtfulness.
Thoughtfulness is about, going the extra mile, but within reason. Maybe accommodating a request that's a little outside the standard package, perhaps giving them some unedited proofs if they ask nicely, or staying an extra 10 minutes to capture one last moment as a favor.
Little things that make a big difference.
Exactly. They build huge goodwill. It helps shift you from just being a vendor to being a real trusted partner.
You mentioned consistency earlier.
Yeah.
Where does transparency fit in? Is it part of consistency or is it its own thing?
That's a great question. I think it's its own critical pillar, really. Though it supports consistency, honest, open communication, it's vital every step of the way.
So what does that look like?
It means setting the right expectations right from the get-go. And sometimes this might even mean recommending a cheaper package if it fits better, or even suggesting another photographer if you genuinely think they'd be a better match.
Wow, okay. That takes confidence.
It does,
Yeah.
but it builds incredible trust. And then, after they've booked, transparency means being super detailed about everything, exact arrival times, when they can expect the final images, the whole process. You want the opposite of that feeling that someone just told you anything to get the sale, you know?
Yeah, totally. But inevitably, things sometimes go wrong. Life happens. How do you handle that? That's where trust really gets tested, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And when things do go sideways, the advice is pretty clear. Over-communicate.
Over-communicate, not under-communicate.
Definitely not. Acknowledge the issue straight away. Empathize, show you understand their frustration. Apologize sincerely. Take responsibility, don't make excuses, and then, crucially, explain exactly how you're going to fix it or how you'll prevent it from happening again.
And maybe offer something.
Yeah, offering compensation, like a discount on a future session or even a partial refund, can be part of taking responsibility. But here's the surprising thing. Handling a screw-up really well can actually strengthen trust.
Really?
Because clients see how you perform under pressure, how you handle adversity. That can be even more reassuring than if everything just went perfectly smoothly from the start.
Huh. Okay, that makes sense. So you've dug into the why, you've built trust through consistency, speed, thoughtfulness, transparency. What's that next critical step? Turning that interest into a booked client, especially for something big like a wedding. That consultation call seems key.
It really is. And it's interesting because many photographers apparently feel a lot of anxiety around those initial calls.
I can imagine high stakes.
Totally. And if you handle them badly, you often get ghosted or end up haggling over price later. But a simple video chat consultation, that can actually transform the business. It's basically a vibe check for both sides.
I'll have to check. I like that. So it's not just them checking you out, but you checking them out too.
Exactly. You need to see if you click, if you can actually work well together. It's mutual, allows you to read body language, get a feel for personality.
So it's less of a hard sell and more discovery. How do successful photographers actually structure these calls? Is there a formula?
Well, there seem to be a couple of effective approaches. One really successful method described as quite structured, multi-step.
Okay.
It starts by deliberately not pitching for the first 10 minutes or so. You ask them how they found you, then you asked about them. Who are you guys? How did you meet? Tell me about the proposal. Make it relaxed. Let them talk about their story.
Getting them into that positive emotional space about the wedding.
Precisely. Disarm them a bit. Only after that initial chat do you move into the wedding details, religious aspects, party size, venue theme, that sort of thing.
That sounds really effective. It changes the whole dynamic before you even mention packages or price. What's the biggest mistake people make before getting to pricing?
Probably jumping in too fast with the sales pitch, or just not building that rapport first. With this structured approach, after that initial connection, then the photographer introduces themselves, talks about their style, and then moves into showing their work. Often using something like a curated 48 photo book that tells a story from a wedding, and while showing it, asking specific questions related to the images, like, are you guys thinking about doing a first look? It makes the portfolio relevant to them.
Ah, smart. Connecting the dots.
Exactly. And then the final 10 or 12 minutes cover the practical stuff, pricing, packages, what happens next. But even then, it's presented with a sort of hands-off approach. The goal is to make the couple feel they are making the decision, not being pushed into it.
And that leads to high booking rates.
Apparently, yes. Like 95% for some photographers using this method, which is incredible.
Wow. Okay. But you said there was another approach, maybe less personal.
Yeah, another perspective suggests keeping it a bit more streamlined. You still congratulate them, of course, but then maybe jump more quickly into asking about the wedding planning, the venue. Then you briefly mention your experience, your general approach, your aesthetic, what they can expect to receive. The core purpose is still that vibe check, answering their specific questions, setting basic expectations.
So still focused on fit, just maybe less storytelling up front.
Kind of. And the underlying idea there is also about putting yourself at ease, knowing that, hey, you don't actually want to book someone you don't genuinely connect with anyway. It protects your own energy, too. It's about finding that mutual suitability.
Okay, that makes sense. Mutual fit. But even with the best vibe check, the best trust building,
Yeah.
you're still going to hit objections, right?
Yeah.
Those two big ones always seem to come up. It costs too much. And the really personal one, I just don't like how I look in the photos. How do you navigate those?
Yeah, handling objections well is absolutely essential, but the key seems to be shifting your mindset about them. See them not as roadblocks, but as opportunities. Chances to clarify, to educate, maybe gently guide their perspective.
Okay, opportunities. How does that work for it's too expensive, especially for something like, say, boudoir photography, which one source mentioned, where it's very personal and can be pricey.
Right. The advice there is stay confident. Rock solid, confident in your value. And remember, it's actually not your business how clients choose to spend their money. Your job is to offer the service and the value consistently, regardless of how much they end up spending.
Maintain the service level no matter what.
Exactly. And the crucial part, educate them. Make it crystal clear what they're actually paying for. It's not just, pieces of paper or digital files. They're paying for the artwork, the whole experience, the skill, the time, the quality.
The whole package.
The whole package. And critically, always offer payment plans. Make it accessible.
That education piece feels really key. It reframes it from a cost to an investment. Okay, what about that other one? The I don't like my photos objection. That sounds emotionally loaded.
It really is. And the sources suggest it almost always comes down to the client's own self-consciousness, not necessarily the quality of the photos themselves.
So it's less about your work and more about their self-perception.
Often, yes. So the strategy has to be super sensitive. First step, gently separate the photos they dislike. Get them out of immediate view so they don't have to keep looking at them.
Okay. Damage control?
Kind of. Then try to encourage a more positive perspective. Don't dismiss their feelings, but maybe highlight objective positives. Look at the gorgeous light here, or that angle is so flattering, or your expression here is so genuinely happy.
Focus on the good.
Focus on the good.
Yeah.
You can offer minor retouching tweaks, but be careful not to overpromise or fundamentally change how they look. And here's an interesting tactic. Suggest involving loved ones, a partner, a close friend in the viewing session.
Why is that?
Because often, the people who love us see us much more kindly than we see ourselves. They can help the client appreciate the photos, see the beauty that they might be missing because they're focused on perceived flaws.
Using their support system. That's clever. So, thinking about that, it's too expensive objection again. You're saying it might not really be about the money itself.
Often, no. It's more about their current mindset. Are they stuck in analytical mode, thinking about bills, mortgages, practical stuff?
Right. The budget brain.
Exactly. So the actionable takeaway when you're trying to close that sale or overcome that objection is to use emotional intelligence. Gently shift them back to the emotional state they were in when they first sought you out.
Bring them back to the why.
Precisely. Remind them why they wanted this in the first place. Instead of letting them dwell on the cost figure, connect it back to the outcome. You might ask something like, thinking about your daughter, is her lifetime of feeling confident and loved, seeing herself beautifully captured, is that worth X amount?
Framing it around the long-term emotional value?
Yes. The perceived value of having the artwork, the memories, the feeling. It needs to outweigh the perceived pain of the price. And delivering that message requires confidence in your pricing and a calm, direct, but empathetic approach.
Okay, that client experience, that emotional connection is clearly vital. But once you've nailed that, how do you actually structure your offerings, your packages? How do you present that value clearly so people want to buy? And how do you stand out in what's often a really crowded market?
Right. Because a lot of people who aren't photographers, they just don't get the sheer amount of work involved, do they? It's not just clicking the button.
No.
There's all the culling, sorting through hundreds, maybe thousands of photos, then the editing, the retouching, plus marketing, admin, client communication. One source mentioned a single wedding could easily mean 40 hours of post-processing work.
40 hours. Yeah.
So packaging your services becomes really important. It helps clients immediately grasp what they're getting, what the deliverables are. It makes it much easier for them to visualize the value and, frankly, easier to say yes.
Right. It simplifies the decision.
Yeah.
Clear options, perceived value.
Exactly that. And a really common effective strategy is offering, say, 3 to 4 distinct packages, like a baseline option, a mid-level, and a higher-end one.
The classic good, better, best approach.
Yeah, or sometimes called the Goldilocks approach. It works because it avoids overwhelming people with too many choices, but still gives options for different needs and budgets.
And people often go for the middle one.
Right. Very often, yes. Which is why it's smart to make sure that middle package has a really healthy profit margin built into it.
Makes sense. But how do you actually price these packages? How do you avoid that common trap of just undercharging, undervaluing your work?
The million-dollar question. And the answer, maybe frustratingly, is you absolutely have to do the math, no guesswork.
Okay, crunch the numbers.
You need to know your cost of doing business gear, software, insurance, marketing, all of it. You need to factor in your time, not just shooting time, but editing, admin, everything. And you need to decide on your desired profit margin. That's how you set sustainable prices.
Those business fundamentals.
Absolutely. A lot of photographers structure packages based on hours of coverage. Maybe a 6-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour option for weddings, for example. And then they add value and differentiate the packages with a la carte items.
Like what?
Things like an engagement shoot included, maybe faster turnaround times on the photos, a premium photo album, a second shooter. Stuff like that adds perceived value to the higher tiers.
Gotcha. And you mentioned perception earlier.
Yes, because value is largely perception, and language matters here. One simple but powerful tip is to use the word investment instead of price or cost.
Investment.
Yeah, it subtly reframes the whole conversation. It shifts the client's mindset away from just a short-term expense towards the long-term benefit, the emotional return, the lasting value of what you're creating for them.
That's a really good point. So beyond just smart pricing and packaging, how does a business, any business really, but especially in a creative field, truly stand out? Become more than just another option, another vendor?
This really ties into a broader, more ethical and authentic way of operating. Standing out isn't just one thing. It's developing a unique style, maybe a niche. You could specialize in, say, dramatic black and white portraits, or adventure elopements, or maybe embrace trends like using drones for cinematic storytelling.
Finding your unique voice.
Exactly. And then consistently delivering truly exceptional customer service, all those things we talked about. Responsiveness, thoughtfulness, mastering your craft, including post-processing to give your work that unique signature, pricing appropriately to attract clients who do value what you offer, and never stop learning, continuous education.
Okay, so skill, service, style.
But it goes deeper. It's also about embodying strong values, things like treating every single client like an equal partner in the process, being genuinely inclusive, welcoming all couples, showcasing diverse clients in your portfolio, being transparent about your entire process, start to finish.
That builds serious credibility.
It does. And things like actively caring for the environment in your business practices, supporting other photographers, seeing them as colleagues, not just competitors, sharing your knowledge freely when you can, and maybe even finding ways to give back, offering services pro bono sometimes, or bartering, connecting with your community.
Wow. So it's really a holistic approach. It's not just about the transaction. It's about the reputation, the values, the community you build around your work.
Precisely. That's how you build something truly lasting and meaningful, I think.
So today, we've really dug into the strategic thinking behind successful photography businesses. But as we've seen, these core ideas, they go way beyond photography, don't they?
Absolutely. That emotional why, understanding what truly drives someone, that's universal.
Right. And building trust through that consistency, that transparency, that's the foundation for any strong relationship, business or personal. Mastering that initial conversation, that vibe check, can honestly change everything.
And learning how to package value clearly, price confidently, handle those inevitable objections with empathy, focusing on the outcome, those are skills everyone can use.
Totally. It seems like standing out, really making an impact in any field, comes down to this plan, doesn't it? Skillful execution, yes, but also really thoughtful engagement with people and sticking to strong ethical principles. So here's something to maybe chew on. If the most successful businesses, the most fulfilling relationships are really built on trust and genuine connection, what's one small, seemingly insignificant but consistent action you could start this week?
Yeah, one little thing that could radically shift how your clients or maybe your colleagues perceive your value.
Exactly. Something that turns every interaction, even the small ones, into a chance to build a deeper relationship. We really encourage you to reflect on these ideas, see how they might fit into your own world, your own goals. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive today.